Creative visualization. In this lesson, I would explain to you how to view the creative visualization. Artists draw visuals in various forms: traditional, modern and postmodern, etc. They do so with some inherent creativity coupled with an embedded message. But as these visuals to the viewers, the latter interpret them based on their own accumulated experiences and knowledge. This lesson dabbles on the question whether the viewer has to go by the artist's view of interpretation of the visual, or viewer has the freedom to interpret it as he or she understands it from his or her own past and accumulated experiences. Which is the correct way of interpreting a visual? In the past lesson, I have offered you a colossal of visual under various headings such as art, drawing, painting, sculpture, etc. that depicted the Indian ethos and epics besides folk culture. After learning about all these, it is now pertinent to know how theoretically a creative visual need to be interpreted. In this lesson, I try to explain how to interpret a visual above both subjective and objective considerations. Unless we know the various methods and tools applied to decipher the embedded message in a given visual, our knowledge of visual communication is not complete. How to understand or read a visual created by an artist? Do subjective interpretations stand out unique against the objective interpretations? Are there methods or tools that read better a visual above the subjective and objective interpretations? What are the principles of visual logic? Central dilemma. A central dilemma of aesthetic visual communication is whether visual images can provide reliable evidence of important human cognitive activity and potentially meaningful effective responses, or images' communicative value is wholly dependent on what can be said about it. This would include discursive logic and applied subjectively by each individual viewer. Is there communication if you cannot seem to put it into words? Does the nature of visual information transmission, its accurate interpretation and the meaningful importance of an image reside only in the subjective processes of each individual viewer? Can there be a base of objective information on which multiple viewers can agree? Both the visual creator or image maker and all subsequent viewers must somehow have confidence in their ability to understand a level of meaning embedded in the image. If, as the objective view holds, all interpretation is the only a fanciful constructing in the mind of each individual, how can any viewer judge the quality, precise meaning and utility of the communication? According to Dake, research methods for the analysis of visual aesthetic relationships need to take both subjective and the objective perspectives into account. Before there can be any useful interpretation, there needs to be a solid agreement that these are in fact some actual, observable and concrete phenomena present in the image on which multiple viewers will agree. Without this basis in observable fact, no method of analyzing visual communication can succeed. The methods of looking at the individual subjective aspects of communication can be better understood if they are based on common understanding of human perceptual functions which all individual humans share. Research in aesthetic aspects of visual communication must start with accurate and precise visual observation and not on propositional linguistic arguments. A predetermined propositional point of view threatens to use the visual image only to illustrate and not as a source of discovery of important cognitive and effective information. By starting with an agreement on what visual elements and relationships are present in the object, both the original maker of the image and the subsequent viewers who are visually literate should have the potential to eventually experience some basic commonality of understanding. Dake argues that research methods must go beyond a discussion of formal elements and their interactions. Analysis methods must actively seek to reveal the cognitive and effective import of the visual communication. For this, the understanding must depend on a unique visually based logic created through interactions between the visual elements and the processes of human brain. Visual logic involves a development internal sense of cohesiveness, comprehensibility, integrity and elegance. Application of visual logic is necessary to guide viewers to a sense of adequate understanding. 6 interrelated principles guide the development of the sense of visual logic. 3 principles deal with objective observable relationships among the visual elements. These 3 principles deal with A. The visual tensions within the work, B. The type of and quality of visual unity observable among visual elements, and C. Available clues to form and space that suggested to the viewer the nature of realism of the image. Three additional principles are based in the common processes that human perception confers on every individual. These principles deal with A. Relationship between ambiguity and meaning, control of direction of the viewer's gaze and therefore their understanding of the image, and C. The ecological relationship among the visual elements and between the viewer and the embedded intentions of the maker of the image. A visual description of these principles and their relational interactions are first defined and illustrated with examples from Iowa University art students who are bringing to develop their ability to produce images of visual logic. Researching or teaching aesthetic communication is added by a focus on the process of visual formation during which the aesthetic relationships were created. Rather than treating the image as a static set arrangement, it is more productive for understanding to view the image as evidence of ongoing process that is always completed in the viewer's mind. The process of image creation proceeds through extended visual to visual experimentation, shaping the relationships with aesthetic precision through extended visual exploration. Finally, the synergistic interactions between the 6 principles called the layering process will be examined by comparing the highly developed aesthetics in 2 artworks by professional artist Chuck Richards. Tools to explore aesthetic relationships. Tensional principle. Tensions, physical, muscular and psychological, are the very stuff of life experiences. The principle draws the image maker or visual creator and the viewer's attention to the importance, meaningfulness and interdependence of tensions within the image. Tensions are created within the human mind as it compares individual visual elements in one part of the image with all other elements in the composition. Every visual element is always in relationship to every other visual element. Shapes seeming to move interactively with internal tensions, line dancing with line, colors pushing and pulling the eyes, and illusionistic clues to space in tension with the flat surface of the paper. Change one element and the whole image changes. Lines, shapes or colors create tensions among themselves and within the whole field of existing Gestalt forces. The image maker must adjust and readjust individual elements in attempting to create the best possible cognitive and affective tensions. The way the tensions are handled determines the mood, character and communication of the visual configuration. It is the viewer's responsibility to focus on these tensions and interpret their role in communication. 2 pages, figures 2.1 and figure 2.2 from the graphic ideation sketchbook of student Paula Bolander vividly demonstrate the depth of rigorous experimentation necessary to develop the closest structural equivalent for the message content to be communicated. On these pages, tensions are abstracted from architecture and nature yield plentiful elements for visual thought. For the image maker, these aesthetic relationships must be developed through flexible variations and seen. In this case, the dynamics of dominant diagonals and a charged asymmetric balance create a mood of excitement as a base of the visual image. These matters cannot just be thought about the verbal terms. The most persuasive combination that are seen can be combined and utilized for a final image of visual expression. Even if the viewer does not see the preparatory visual thought, the aesthetic relationships embedded in the final image convey the mental effort and intentions that went into their construction. Tensions tend to tear the visual image apart into separate and competing elements for attracting the viewer's attention, conveying sense of chaos, not choreography. Unity holds the message together in a cohesive and understandable order. The image maker must learn to control the many levels of visual organization within a work of visual communication by the skillful use of grouping principles. The Gestalt grouping principles of similarity, proximity, closure, continuation and common fate are the most commonly cited tools for this producing sensation of unity to the viewer's brain. The goal is for each visual design to possess the maximum in purposeful organization related to its formal psyche and the content information. The search for visual unity can be observed in 2 preparatory drawings of student David Ulch, figure 2.4, for a print on the theme of the actual and implied motion of a motorcycle. At first, in every organic sketch, the effect seems both more plant-like and chaotic than the subject seems to require. A more geometric and mechanical arrangement of circular forms, curved lines and straight lines begins to develop in the second sketch, figure 2.4 bottom. In the final intaglio print, Figure 2.5, the placement of light and dark values as well as other elements is more unified in grouping, creating a meaningful arrangement of cohesive visual forces. As the motorcycle moves through the space, it leaves memory traces of repeated forms and lines that convey the nature of merchandised energy. The type and strength of the visual groupings support this symbolic meaning. Purposeful use of Gestalt grouping tools bring patterns and order to the maker's efforts. The viewer of the image can see a type of unity created by grouping of aesthetic elements supporting either the overt messages contextually or conveying other purely visual connotations. Paying attention to the multiple groupings that underlie the outward subject matter can reveal much of what aesthetics add to visual communication. The principle of aesthetic analysis holds that all styles of graphic communication, naturalistic or abstract to non-objective, deal with some aspect of reality in one way or another. The disciplined graphic thinker who controls the visual tools, depth clues of overlap, shadow, color, gradients and placement can explore the nature of form and space for the nature of the real experience. Mistaking optical naturalism as the one and only form for communicating reality is a common mistake of those unfamiliar with visual thinking and communication. A comparison of two images of an artist's recently deceased father shown an interesting and flexible use of the depth clues for different but meaningful visual statements. The student artist Barbara Hussman has skillfully given clues to the more naturalistic appearance of her father in figure 2.6 lower, while using the upper 2/3 of the image to suggest diagrammatically and symbolically the engineering mentality and interests of the subject. The second version of this homage to a departed father, figure 2.7, plays more freely with depth clues for more expressive emotional messages, asking the question, do you see what I mean? This second message conveys an effective message of a human reality far deeper emotionally than surface appearance. Two images with the same subject but with far different aspects of reality communicated. The knowledgeable viewer must be able to interpret these clues for purposeful meaning. This analysis tool draws the artist's attention to a probable characteristic of human perception, that all visual images are essentially ambiguous in the human brain and all configurations are therefore liable to more than one interpretation. During analysis of communication value, all configurations must be regarded as initially uncertain or indefinite in explicit meaning. The potential for communication is then carried forward by the observation's visual elements, but the exactness of the target is not reducible to one set of words. Every image maker or visual creator knows this, and every viewer needs to trust in the pattern seeking forces in the brain and enter a process of lengthy pattern seeking. Images often arise out of ambiguity. Figure 2.8, a drawing by student artist George Pichard, shows a network of friends, the visual idea for which it was discovered in a random scribble of lines. Figure 2.9, which was then refined as a series of layered movements. Having arisen out of ambiguity, this image does not immediately give one definite interpretation of meaning to the viewer, although the elaborate and dynamic depth clues suggest a message with important depth of meaning. No one interpretation comes readily to our attention and viewers. Perhaps the message is order, even in the midst of chaos, or perhaps human interactions with the complex electronic circuitry, or again the dynamics of contemporary interpersonal human relationships. It is possible that all interpretations or their combination could require some hold on our attention when we consider the multi-layered nature of meaning making in the act of visual communication. According to Dake, ambiguity provides a vital function in aesthetic visual communication. Ambiguity suggests experiencing the image more fully in many dimensions. An idea is a temporary mental event. Thus, words cannot always adequately convey the complex structural, relational and contextual nature of the interrelationships among the aesthetic phenomena. The image maker's reasons and the viewer's mind can meet only after a period of critical viewing and extended analogical thinking. This principle holds that human beings are, on the one hand, able to make conscious decisions about the directions their designs will develop, and also to some extent about the way the viewer will process the visual clues. but also humans are a component part of nature and therefore must acknowledge that there are many aspects, their complex actions consciously unknowable to the individual, which are being intuitively detected. These aspects require the image maker to be skillful in inventing strategies for guiding the image making process, particularly when the total final visual goal cannot be known logically. Though preparatory drawings figures 2.10 and figures 2.11 are selected examples, student artist Brian Roberts demonstrates the development of a successful strategy for integrating human and animal forms, vegetative patterns and sharp shattered transparent planes. The final drawing, figure 2.12, a symbolic self-portrait, directs the viewer's eye by skillful use of high contrast in hair forms and hands while moving the eye sharply in sweeping arcs from side to side. Meanwhile, the left shoulder and the face of the subject are de-emphasized with lower contrast of the values. The intuitive decisions made as the image was developed cannot be explained as purely conscious action, but seem to have been generated through many trial and error sketches made to explore potential configuration and their effect on future viewers. In contemplating the interpretation of meaning conveyed by the image, the viewer would do well to consider why the image maker might have used certain of these specific visual controlling phenomena. Other more mysterious aspects of the message of which the artist himself may not have been consciously aware were probably decided on intuitively. The second group of phenomena reflects a visually intuitive set of actions that can be fertile ground for both image maker and the viewer in discovering and growing new relationships. Images are not created all at once in the holistic fashion of human visual perception. Whether photographically captured or laboriously hand down, the image is the result of long series of decisions, corrections, revisions and generative explorations. Because of the fallibility of human thought and the complexity of contextual relationships that need to be simultaneously developed, many tentative proposals must be worked out through. Each small experiment used in generating a new image is the only best real-time projection of a possible solution. The image maker must then deal with the incompleteness of any one image and try further experimentation to find a more complete solution. A sense of incompleteness or failure is in the case of positive spur to try again. Learning from mistakes and failures, integrating new perspectives is the way of meaningful set of relationships within the image and between the image and the image maker is worked out. In interpreting the import of visual image, it is appropriate to regard any interpretation as not totally fixed and objective. Perhaps the viewer would be best advised to use a lengthier process of trial and error interpretation, the mirror image of the process the image maker used in developing the image. This is the generation of an ecological relationship with both the image and with the image maker, ideas which ecological relationships speaks. The viewer should search for less obvious analogies and associations, new layers of meaning waiting to be discovered. The preparatory work, figure 2.13 through 2.17 by illustrator Clint Hansen, shows a small part of the work by an artist shaping the ecological relationships with an image. This self-promotional image began with a crumpled piece of paper laid on a copy machine. Figure 2.13. From the ambitious grey shades, lines and smudges, the artist perceived a mysterious face peering through a hole. This he enhanced. Moving forward, the artist explored the potential meaning in this imaginative invention in a page of sketches, figure 2.14. Finally, tried many flexible compositional and implicit shape studies, and finality with overlaid tracing paper forms worked out of some metaphoric meanings. The final sketchboard self-portrait is far more than the simple physical appearance of the artist. The ecological relationships between the image and the viewer seems to convincingly convey the technical competence of the maker, several layers of meaning about these artistic skills and talents, a penetrating and focused observational ability, the mystery of creativity and the ability to plunge below the level of consciousness to intuitively reach the viewer's mind. This is indeed a complex ecological relationship. Audience for this image. Visual logic is finally holistic. uniquely applied in each specific instance by layering the effects of various analysis tools as if they were individually and figuratively transparent. A more complex and complete understanding of the role of aesthetics is visual communication can be seen. To demonstrate this most complex of aesthetic communication potentials, a comparison of two paintings by professional art Chuck Rochers provides an opportunity to appreciate how the careful and rigorous analysis of visual logic can result in complex and nuanced appreciation of support visual communication. Figure 2.19 self-portrait is an oil painting of modest size, but with a great complexity layering of visual logic principles. And white, even in the black and white productions, self-portrait reveals a skillful grouping of light and dark values. Notice, for example, how the light of the table surface is repeated and grouped by similarity and continuity, presenting itself as a coherent whirl of energy around the image of the artist in the central mirror. The light band on the dark container on the left edge is picked up by the light edge around the reproduced drawing of snakes above. It is then passed along to highlights on the mask. Small reproduced child is drawing in the middle of the top, and then the light in the electrical cord in the top right corner, and completes a cycle with the top of the animal skull at the lower right. A unity of this is carefully placed energy surrounds the artist in a meaningfully loose and dynamic manner, perhaps reflecting the productive clutter of the artist's studio and flexible conditions of complex mind that characterize the artist. Therefore, there is a visual rhyming in grouping by similarity of intertwined snakes at the left and the swirling of the man-made electric cords on the far right side. The highlights in Man in Mayhem are more evenly and randomly distributed, although they are stronger towards the outer edges of composition. The light shapes are somewhat unpredictably but strategically placed to provide cohesion to an otherwise potentially chaotic visual display, a unity of message about the subject disintegration. Self-portrait gives a highly consistent set of depth clues as traditionally used in Western art. The pattern of light and dark, sense of overlap, placement of objects higher in the picture plane for depth and gradient of value, size and shape give a coordinated pattern that defines illusionistic space. With the illusionistic system, however, some interesting complications are presented for the viewer's attention. Although the artist's central self-image gives clues indicating a solid subject in the place, the overlapping mirror frames reveals not a window but a reflective surface. The illusion of mirror's cracked surface further complicates interpretation. Also, illusion of depth in the illustrated entwined snake refer to another layer of the artist's reality, because this is a reproduction of previous artist's rendering of reality, a copy of copy. In many ways, Man in Mayhem does not have as many levels of complexity. Depth clues are used more uniformly throughout the image for a shallow representation of space. In summing up the previous analysis, a layering of the individual clues begins to yield deeper meaning. Although self-portrait reveals a young man with a balanced adult control of complex mind, the Man in Mayhem shows wrinkled elderly skin and brain context in microscope close-up minus a whole human image. The unified chaos of tensions in Man in Mayhem reveals an individual in the grip of mental disintegration. Conversations with the artist disclosed that indeed the subject of Man in Mayhem was that of an older man, his father with Alzheimer's disease, a series of in-depth meanings communicated effectively by visual means alone. Summary: the full impact of any group of aesthetic elements can only be understood through contextual and relational thinking. Because every aesthetic element in a visual design is relative to everything else in an image, the process is complex, with no simple route to a vital sense of internal integrity of its elements and accurately communicated meaning. Knowledge of the normal functions of perceptual processing of the human nervous system combined with critical analysis of the visible relationships among the elements of the image have potential to yield creative discoveries of the content not immediately apparent from surface appearance. Words used to speak of what is communication can only speak of one thing at a time, but images arrive holistically, everything present simultaneously. Visual logic must be understood in a wordless way of speculating, considering and eventually knowing. Aesthetic aspects of visual communication are the mute and in many ways unnameable aspects that one could talk about forever. The aesthetics aspect of visual communication lie in the conscious background and provide support for more explicit levels of associative and symbolic meaning through heightened viewer response.